Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Govinda Vallabha Giridhari Jaya Govinda Vallabha Giridhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Govinda Vallabha Giridhari Jaya Govinda Vallabha Giridhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Govinda Vallabha Giridhari Jaya Govinda Vallabha Giridhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya 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 Hare Krishna. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, 5th chapter, 32nd verse onwards. Etvad uktva prayayo narado mokha darshana tepi chandanam margam bharatranam eva marisha. Translation. Shukdev Goswami continued, O best of the advanced Aryans, after saying this much to the sons of Prajapati Daksh, Narad Muni, whose merciful glance never goes in vain, left as he had planned. The sons of Daksh followed their elder brothers. Not attempting to produce children, they engaged themselves in Krishna consciousness. 33rd verse.
We have read already these.
So I'm still proceeding to that verse. But this is leading to a particular conclusion. That's why I'm just connecting these verses. It's a connection here. Sadrijin Pratishnam Prasparsyatanam Gada Nadyape Te Nivartante Paschim Namanir Eva. The Savalashvas took to the correct path, which is obtainable by a mode of life meant to achieve devotional service or the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like knights that have gone to the west, they have not returned even now. 34th verse. Etasim kal upatam bahon pashyan prajapati purvavan narada kritam putra nasham upashrama. At this time, Prajapati Daksh observed many inauspicious signs, and he heard from various sources that his second group of sons, the Savalashvas, had followed the path of their elder brothers in accordance with the instruction of Narada. And 35th verse. Chuk krodha naradayasho putra shok vimochita devarshim uplabhya roshad visupuritadhara. When he heard that the Savalashvas had also left this world to engage in devotional service, Daksh was very angry at Narad, and he almost fainted due to lamentation. When Daksh met Narad, Daksh's lip began to tremble in anger, and he spoke as follows. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that Narad Muni had delivered the entire family of Swayambhu Manu, beginning with Privat and Uttanpad. He had delivered Uttanpad's son Dhruv and had even delivered Prachin Gargi, who was engaged in fruitive activities. Nevertheless, he could not deliver Prajapati Daksh. Prajapati Daksh saw Narad before him because Narad had personally come to deliver him. Narad Muni took the opportunity to approach Prajapati Daksh in his bereavement because the time of bereavement is a suitable time for appreciating Bhakti Yoga. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter, 16th verse, 4 kinds of men are: one who is distressed, artarthi; one in need of money, jigyasu; one who is inquisitive, and jnani, a person in knowledge. Try to understand devotional service. Prajapati Daksh was in great distress because of the loss of his sons, and therefore Narad took the opportunity to instruct him regarding liberation from material bondage. Hare Krishna. First of all, I would like to welcome you and thank you for giving this opportunity to serve Sri Guru and Gauranga. So, in today's verse, as Prabhuji mentioned, that some verses are already covered, but they are following a set of verses leading to a particular theme. So, we observe some important points. Not attempting to produce children, they engage themselves in Krishna consciousness. And so this leads the person with a sort of question, why did he do that? So the next verse explains that Savalashvas took to the correct path, which is obtainable by a mode of life meant to achieve devotional service or the mercy of Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in this final verse, Narad Muni could not deliver Prajapati Daksh Prajapati Daksh saw Narad before him because Narad had personally come to deliver him. Narad Muni took the opportunity to approach Prajapati Daksh in his bereavement because the time of bereavement is a suitable time for appreciating Bhakti Yoga. So, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, I'm just again taking it back. 4 kinds of men generally actually take to devotional service. Those who are favorable. One is art or who is distressed. When we generally see there's some trouble coming to us, that's the time we generally remember God. Whether it's a near life death experience or some straight distress. So we think about God that time. Most of us. Then Artati, one who needs money. Like I was just reading, another set of companies have declared for bankruptcy, and this year entire EU zone is facing that type of crisis. So this is a time when actually most of people come to devotional life. And then Jigyasa, many times we have seen that somebody who's just inquisitive, what is it you are talking about? Why are you dressed in a particular manner? Or why you have this tilak? So those type of people. And Jnani, people who have some knowledge but they are just looking for further knowledge. Who is trying to understand devotional service. So out of these, Prajapati Daksha was in great distress because of the loss of his sons. And therefore, Narad took the opportunity to instruct him regarding liberation from material bondage. Now comes a point where we can say that isn't it paradoxical because Narad Muni is actually the cause of Prajapati Daksha. Because he is lamenting for the loss of second set of sons whom he was entrusting to propagate population. And Narad Muni has sent his earlier sons for devotional life, and now even these sons he sent for devotional life. So that's actually the lamentation. But then we'll be covering that point. But there's other examples similar to Prajapati Daksha, where people had opportunity, but they did not take that opportunity. Rather, despite knowing what is right, they still continue to choose what they basically thought was correct. Would somebody like to give some example of similar case like Prajapati Daksha seeing his distress? Would anybody like to give some examples?
What was the question? If one more time.
Like we see that Prajapati Daksha is lamenting and Narad Muni is preaching to him to think about God and to take path of God. So, any example?
You're asking
Similar example.
Similar examples.
Like here, Narad Muni, a pure devotee, has come to deliver Prajapati Daksha, but he's not seeing the reason, and he's still continuing lamenting, and he's continuing his way of thinking.
В общем, он спрашивает от нас, можете вы привести какие-то примеры, где похожие ситуации, как здесь, что вот Нарада Муни проповедует, Дакша продолжает думать, как
Came from Srimad Bhagavatam.
таком
You
материале.
can read from anywhere.
Это
That's the question.
I'll go and I watch the mirror, I can see the same thing.
You're playing table tennis with me for one shot and you shot it back. Well, I could think of some examples. Would you like to give some examples?
I'm thinking, you can give, I'm thinking.
Okay,
Думаю.
in Mahabharata, I'm giving this example because it's very controversial from the part of the world I come from in India. Karna.
Кто?
Karna,
Карна.
the eldest of the Pandavas. He is the flawed, tragic hero of Mahabharata. Why we talk about his example? Because, yeah. But Kans was actually, even before Krishna was born, he was always fearing that. He was in totally other extreme. That's a very good example. But Kans was always thinking about Krishna only. That's the reason he got liberation also. Here we are saying that a person is in distress and he has to choose between going to Krishna and going his ways. In in Kansa's case, he always saw Krishna as adversary. So he was always thinking about him. In India, you could call that as Virodha Bhakti. same as Ravan, he was always antagonistic. So Karna, actually, if you realize that he was son of Suryadev and son of Kunti, so he had a very good lineage if you look at it. But he is, and he was also martially adept and equal to Arjun as warrior, as a Kshatriya. He was a gifted speaker who embeds provocative insults for his opponents in front of an audience. He does the right thing, dharma, but yet he is cruel and mean, adharma. He never questions the ethics of his lifelong friend Duryodhana and rather conspires and abets in Duryodhana's quest for power through the abuse of his opponents. He complains of dharma failed him because you ask always, and many people argue in his case, like, okay, dharma failed him on his day of his death. Yet, in his abuse of Draupadi, he himself ignores the dharma. He is a victim of his circumstances beyond his choosing. He is both generous to the Brahmins, yet arrogant and cruel to the Pandavas. He bitterly opposes the Pandavas and is a pillar of support to the Kauravas. Yet, as he nears his fatal battle, he is also willing to accept his mistakes and recognize the good in Yudhishthira and Pandavas he opposes. And tragic is that Krishna personally approached Karna as an ambassador seeking to prevent violence and the war. And Krishna started complimenting Karna by knowing that he is a knower of Vedas and subtlety of Dharma Shastras. And if you look at it, his guru was Parshuram, one of Dashavatars. So he had very good knowledge and very good education. And Krishna personally requested his support to end the cascading cycle of violence and war, which was like unheard of type of phenomenal war. And Krishna told Karna that Kunti was his biological mother. Now, if God is himself telling you, what is there to doubt? And that Pandavas are your half brothers, but Karna still declined the offer to follow Krishna's will, the real dharma.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I couldn't catch. What exactly Krishna told him? What kind of advice?
He said that you are son of Kunti and Pandavas are half brothers. So please don't follow this path of adharma and don't please go against dharma and please why don't you come back to Pandavas?
Это адхарма будет. Вот такой совет от Кришны, но Карна этого не принимал. Okay, thank you.
But as we see that Karna was only remembering that he was insulted throughout his life and Duryodhana was the one who actually massaged his ego at the time of when this contest was going about the best archer. So that's all he could remember. He could not remember what the dharma is. Basically, dharma means dharma is something which doesn't change, whatever time, place, and circumstances. But in this case, we can say that okay, we can have various logics. But then another example that comes to mind is Bhishma Pitama. Well, Bhishma always gave priority to dharma. He always walked in the path of dharma. Despite this state, because of the vow, he was supposedly to forcefully follow the orders of his king Dhritarashtra, which were mostly adharma. He was totally upset. He was sure he must let dharma win and Pandavas win. But the way he led the war and stayed silent were his sins in a way, and he paid for it with a bed of arrows. Then another example.
Sorry, I couldn't. I just couldn't keep up with that. So what did Bhishma do wrong?
Well, he had taken a vow that his responsibility lies to the kingdom of Hastinapur, and he saw that Dhritarashtra was his king, and he has to follow his orders. And Dhritarashtra stood for only the dharma. So that was his sin. Despite knowing the right thing, he is still doing the wrong thing.
Царство Dhritarashtra, но потому что Dhritarashtra был на стороне Дхармы, Поэтому тоже проиграл Бхишмадева. Okay, thank you.
And then there is another extreme example of Dronacharya.
Есть еще третий очень
Drona was somewhat parallel to Bhishma, both in martial powers and compared with the refuge they had given him in his unwavering commitment to fighting for Hastinapur,
И Дронacharya тоже.
irrespective of who the ruler was and whether or not the cause was just. Like Bhishma, Drona is criticized for his pride and conceit, siding with Adharma, despite knowing of and acknowledging the righteousness of Pandava cause.
Своих этих могущественностей и сил.
Krishna criticized this reasoning as mere pride. Drona wanted to put his obligation to Hastinapur over Dharma, so that no one questioned his honor. Dronacharya was criticized for many of his actions during the war. Dronacharya was criticized for many of his actions during the war. First, as a Brahmin, and secondly, as princess teacher. He should have removed himself from the battlefield. Because when you are a teacher, for you, all your students are equal. So at the cost of Pandavas, he was being partial.
To whom he was partial? Excuse me. To whom he was partial?
He was partial towards Kauravas against Pandavas.
Окей, thank you. Поэтому получается, здесь Дроначарья, он все-таки, несмотря что и Пандавы, и Кауравы были ученики, он больше выражал свои предпочтения, да, к Кауравам. Поэтому получается, что он не следовал Кауравам, он не относился равным образом ко всем ученикам. Thank you.
And we take another example, like we know that it was Dronacharya who had planned for this Chakravyuh. And he knew that other than Krishna and himself, nobody else knew how to break this.
Break what? Sorry.
Chakravyuh, that war formation in which they were trying to capture Yudhishthira Maharaj, and they had engaged
during
Kurukshetra battle.
So,
and then they were
он знал, и Кришна знал, что только они вдвоем, либо Дроначарья, и Кришна может сбивать вот эту определенную информацию. Они хотели поймать Юдхиштхиру. Yes, thank you.
And Abhimanyu was the one, Arjun's son, who had before his birth heard about how to go and enter this Chakravyuh, but he had only 50% knowledge. He could go in but could not come out. And when it was planning, and then Krishna and Arjun, of course Krishna knew how to do it, but Krishna and Arjun were together and they were misled in other direction, and Jayadratha was very asked to actually stop them. So basically it was done in such a manner that Yudhishthira Maharaj became helpless. And when he was trying to help Abhimanyu, so they closed the circle and engaged Yudhishthira Maharaj. And when Abhimanyu was alone and he was trying to fight, all the Atirathis or Maharathis, they attacked him simultaneously, including Karna and Duryodhana, Duryodhana's trusted people. And even Dronacharya was one of those perpetrators of that crime. So there are many reasons where he was just simply unfair.
Sorry, excuse me. I'm sorry.
The people, when Abhimanyu was fighting alone, it was Dronacharya who said that please kill his charioteer and kill the horses so that he becomes helpless. And then they cut his weapons and all those things. When he becomes helpless, and that's the time all of them attacked and killed unfairly this Abhimanyu, who was a boy of just around 18 years of age. So just totally other. And then And Dronacharya also tried to use Brahmastra, the celestial powerful weapon, which was not supposed to use against ordinary foot soldiers. But when Lord Krishna stopped him, Drona argued that his first obligation was to defeating his enemy and defending his soldiers by whatever means he possessed. So we see that despite Krishna telling him personally, he was not listening to anything. So these were the other extreme of examples. Then we go towards the other spectrum and we have this case of Dhruv Maharaj, a boy who was triggered by his stepmother's hurt, but perfecting his life in a short time, around 6 months or so. And when we see that he was actually ashamed when he was seeking material benefit, it was his initial motive to first of seeing Lord Vishnu or Krishna, and he was only a child. But within 6 months, while meditating, he had purified himself, and when he saw Krishna, he just wanted to be with Krishna. And he felt ashamed. In fact, he would not even raise his eyes because he felt ashamed that I have got everything in front of me and I was such a petty person. I was looking for some material gains. So that's why he was actually apologizing. And he did not even ask for any kingdom, but Krishna told him, no, since you wish, you will be getting. So we see that is what is the mentality of the devotee. And then what to talk? We talk about Prahlad Maharaj, staunch devotee by birth itself. So we see that how people are right from antagonistic to extremely favorable. And we will feel that these are extreme examples, but we generally learn from other people's examples. And look around and you'll find that things have not changed much. People remaining who they are, most of them continue their paths whimsically. Here you try to tell Prabhu, this is dharma, or Mataji, this is dharma. And they'll say, what do you tell? I am such a senior devotee, I am this or I am that. So basically they will not even listen to you, even if you are trying to correct something. But generally, a wise person always listens to the feedback, whatever he is getting or she is getting. But most of people are driven by their egos, so it's very difficult. So
ты младший, преданный, или ты что-то еще другое. И вот мы этого не принимаем, потом сам страдаем.
So the point in the entire theme is that the difference between the dharma as we understand versus the actual dharma. We may concoct intelligent arguments justifying actions, but so did other more intelligent and gifted personalities, as some examples we have discussed. As absence of light is darkness, so is the absence of knowledge ignorance. So Srila Prabhupada explains, unlike the miscreants, there are adherents of the regulatory principles of scriptures, and they are called Sukrita. Those who obey the rules and regulations of scriptures, the moral, social laws, and are more or less devoted to the Supreme Lord. And out of these, there are 4 classes of men, as we discussed. Those who are sometimes distressed, those who are in need of money, those who are sometimes inquisitive, and those...
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm running out of energy here. If it's okay for you and others who are here, maybe we can do sentence by sentence. I'm losing.
Sure. Okay.
Russian language is not my mother tongue.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And I know you don't have to be sorry. I'm sorry because I have lack of energy.
Okay.
Then I can properly convey the message.
So Srila Prabhupada explains, unless the miscreants, there are adherents of the regulatory principles of the scriptures, and they are called Sukrita.
Srila Prabhupada объясняет, что я просто что делаю предложение по предложению, что Срила Прабхупада просто чтобы все-таки адекватно для вас успеть, простите. Вот Срила Прабхупада объясняет, что есть негодяи, да, тех, кто не следует дхарму, а есть люди, вот, сукритина, они вот следуют правильный путь, да, следуют дхарму.
And those who obey the rules and regulations of scriptures, the morals and social laws.
Вот они следуют предписания, священных писаний, там определенные моральные и другие законы.
And are more or less devoted to the Supreme Lord.
И более-менее они уже преданы Верховному Господу.
Out of these 4 classes of men, those who are sometimes distressed,
и из этих 4 тип людей. Вот один – это кто страдает.
Those who are in need of money,
И второй – те, кто нуждается в деньгах.
those who are sometimes inquisitive,
И третий, кто иногда чувствует любопытность.
and those who are sometimes searching after the knowledge of the absolute truth.
И четвертый, кто ищет знания о абсолютной истине.
These people come to the Supreme Lord for devotional service under different conditions.
И вот эти люди, они приходят к Богу и начинают совершать преданное служение из разных мотивов.
These are not pure devotees because they have some aspiration to fulfill in exchange for devotional service.
Они еще не чисто преданные, потому что у них есть какой-то мотив, они хотят совершать преданное служение и хотят что-то взамен еще материального.
Pure devotional service is without aspiration and without desire for material profit.
Чистое преданное служение имеет никаких материальных мотивов, и человек не ожидает ничего взамен и не хочет никакого материального блага из этого.
The Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu 1.1.11 defines pure devotion thus: Annabhilashishu vejhati shunya jnana karma dayavanavritam anukulyen Krishna shuram bhaktaruktamam.
И вот этот стих из Бхакти-самрита Синду описывает чистое преданное служение.
One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through furtive activity or philosophical speculation. This is called pure devotional service.
Вот чистое преданное служение называется, когда человек совершает преданное служение не только ради бхакти или из бхакти, без кармы, без дьяна, без никаких других материальных мотивов, и беспрерывно, и постоянно, и именно благоприятным образом для Кришны.
When these four kinds of persons come to Supreme Lord for devotional service and are completely purified by the association of pure devotees, they also become pure devotees.
Но если эти четыре люди, кто обращаются к Богу этими материальными желаниями, если они общаются с чистыми преданными, они тоже очистятся и постепенно сами становятся чистым преданным.
As far as the miscreants are concerned, for them devotional service is very difficult because their lives are selfish, irregular, and without spiritual goals. But even some of them, by chance, when they come in contact with a pure devotee, also become pure devotees.
Что касается этих личностей, кто не следует дхарму или не придет к Богу, они обычно ведут такие жизни, что не следуют законы, нерегулярные жизни, нерегулированные и так далее. Но бывает, по милости Бога, что они может иногда встретиться с чистыми преданными, они может таким образом тоже возвыситься.
Those who are always busy with fruitive activities come to the Lord in material distress and at that time associate with pure devotees and become in their distress devotees of the Lord.
И тоже вот люди, кто имеет материальные желания, хочет материальных плодов, они тоже могут прийти к Богу, и через общение с чистыми преданными они тоже могут возвыситься.
Those who are simply frustrated also come to associate with pure devotees and become inquisitive to know about God.
И вот да, люди тоже пострадают, если они придут и общаются с чистыми преданными, они тоже будут возвыситься и тоже будут узнать больше о Боге.
Similarly, when the dry philosophers are frustrated in every field of knowledge, they sometimes want to learn of God, and they come to Supreme Lord to render devotional service and thus transcend knowledge of impersonal Brahman and localized Paramatma and come to personal conception of Godhead by grace of the Supreme Personality or His pure devotee.
И тоже эти сухие философы, они тоже встретятся с разочарованием на своем пути, и поэтому тоже может прийти к обществу преданных, чтобы по-настоящему слышать о личности Бога.
On the whole, when the distressed, the inquisitive, the seekers of knowledge, and those who are in need of money are free from all material desires, and when they fully understand that material domination has nothing to do with spiritual movement, they become pure devotees.
И вот итог заключается в этом, что если вот эти стереотипы людей, кто страдает, в нуждах, в деньгах, бедные и ищущие, если они в этом процессе понимают, что духовный прогресс не имеет никакой связи с материальным своим благополучием или что получишь что-то материальным, тогда они тоже становятся чистыми.
As long as such a purified stage is not attained, devotees in transcendental service to the Lord are tainted with fruitive activities, the search for mundane knowledge, etc. So one has to transcend all this before one can come to stage of pure devotional service.
Вот пока мы совершаем преданное служение, но у нас еще есть такие материальные мотивы, мы еще не на уровне чистого преданного служения, поэтому нам надо сознательно отказаться от таких материальных мотивов, тогда мы тоже можем достигать уровня чистого преданного служения.
So as aspiring devotees, we should try to help as much as possible to whoever is coming to the temple or outside has a favorable inclination towards Krishna, to help them advance in Krishna consciousness and thereby advancing ourselves.
Поэтому мы, как преданные в обществе сознания Кришны, должны помочь этих людей, кто придет в храм, кто какой-то образом приближается к Кришне, мы должны их помочь. Таким образом, мы себя тоже помогаем.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Any questions or any comments?
Харе Кришна, спасибо. Есть у вас вопросы или комментарии? Есть? Кришна Мурари, Матуши. Okay. Well, I didn't expect such a sudden ending, but let me think of some question and comment. Just a moment. We have time.
Actually, the thing is that it's not all of a sudden, because we are looking at, the thing is that when we point a finger at others, they are pointing at us. So when I'm trying to say something, I'm looking at myself. What is my understanding from all these examples, that's what I'm sharing, that people who had such advantages and still they refused, and
Все эти личности получили правильный совет, но они все отказали этот совет.
And basically, so it seems that even though we may be in very favorable position, we are in heavenly planets. That's why it is said that even demigods want to be born on earth, so that because there's a balance of miseries and happiness, so that we have freedom to choose more clearly. So we are in a situation where there are sufficient sorrows to keep us humble and sufficient happiness so that we don't get demoralized. And
страдания нас сделают смиренными, но одновременно есть определенное счастье, что мы не стали вообще такие, знаете, супер депрессивных, не стали.
But at the same time, we are also aware that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Одновременно мы знаем, что влияние, или как, влияние, если у нас есть влияние над других, это нас оскверняет. Если у нас есть абсолютное влияние, это нас абсолютно оскверняет.
So that is the reason that we see that people, even if they are in distress, but if they get some achievement or in their, let's say, advancing even spiritual consciousness, suddenly they start developing that ego.
What's developing what?
Ego. Like they start thinking, oh, I have arrived, I have achieved. They start becoming proud.
Но мы видим, что да, люди, кто страдает, начинают развивать преданность, но там может быть такая вещь, что развивается ложный эго, они становятся гордыми, думая, что они уже все знают, они уже такие достойные люди.
So it's my fear that if I see this happening to others, it could happen to me also.
Поэтому мой страх заключается в этом, что если я вижу, что это так случится с другими, может быть и со мной тоже так будет.
So I'm just putting it across that anybody we see coming across, and if you can share some Krishna consciousness,
Поэтому все, кого мы встретим, все можем поделиться сознанием Кришны с этими людьми.
so we'll be advancing ourselves. We are not doing any favor on others, but actually we are favoring ourselves by reminding constantly, by trying to help others advance.
Да, мы сами будем развиваться, если мы помогаем другим на духовном пути.
So, because Krishna is also seeing our efforts, so if he says, okay, this person is trying to help others in advance, and maybe he is not advancing, because we realize that when we are trying to help others, we may not be, we get a feeling that we may are not advancing, but Krishna is seeing our efforts. So Krishna takes care of that also.
Мы можем думать, что мы сами не развиваемся, но Кришна ценит наши искренние попытки помочь других, и поэтому Кришна будет нам дарить прогресс.
So that was not actually abrupt. So that was basically I was seeing that these are all the facts and figures in front of us. So keeping this in mind, what should be our consciousness and why we should be benevolent towards whosoever we come across, because Krishna is in everybody else as Paramatma.
Да, поэтому мы должны увидеть, что Кришна находится в каждом сердце, как вся душа, поэтому лучше быть, иметь благословенный подход ко всем живым существам.
So when we come to temple, we see deities, we are reminded of Krishna. But
Если мы придем в
What?
храм, мы видим божество,
Krishna wants us that when we are
но Кришна
going out also, we should continue to see Krishna everywhere.
что когда мы выходим из храма, мы продолжали бы видеть Кришну во всех живых существ,
Because knowledge without application is no knowledge.
потому что знание без его практики не знание.
That was my point.
Ну вот это, что хотели все сказать.
Спасибо большое за лекцию.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the lecture. Thank you all from Prabhu and Matasthi. Thank you for the lecture.
Мне все равно, то есть один момент, который мне до конца непонятен.
But even after listening to this good lecture, I have still one thing which I cannot fully understand.
Шастры говорят о том, что мы должны следовать по стопам ачарьи.
Scriptures say that we should follow in the footsteps of acharyas.
И те личности, которые вы упомянули, они как бы, ну, то есть есть некоторые из ачарьи, то есть Бишмадев, то есть, да, один из 12 Махаджан, да.
And so you gave these 4 or 5 examples of different personalities who didn't take proper advice or something, but some of those personalities are counted as acharyas. For example, Bhishmadev is one of the 12 Mahajans.
Вот, и то есть если мы следуем по стопам ачарьи, то даже ачарьи, ну, бывает, что ошибаются, да, то как, на что надеяться нам тогда?
So if we are advised to follow at the footsteps of acharyas, but we see that sometimes acharyas make mistakes, like in the example of Bhishmadev, or they make some kind of wrong, so to say, action, then what kind of hope do we have then?
That is exactly the point. See, basically, we are following parampara.
So,
And, We follow acharyas, as you rightly pointed out. But if you are, from our examples, you are considering Bhishma Padana as acharya, then he was also following a parampara. He was Gangaputra.
So,
Shantanu and Gangaputra. So they are also following parampara. But who's the core or who's the center of that parampara? Everything finally comes from Krishna only. So if
Поэтому, в конечном счете, все из Кришны отходит. Кто там источник этих парампар?
So if you are following an example of acharya strictly by definition, then whose acharya is acharya? Acharya is also getting his knowledge from acharya only. So acharya's knowledge has to be followed. By that logic, why is Bali Maharaj is also one of the Mahajans? Because his acharya. Shukracharya told him, no, you know that this is Vishnu who has come as Bali Maharaj, who is coming as a child. Basically, he is here to cheat you. And then Bali Maharaj immediately gave up his own guru. So if you are talking about example of one Mahajan, I am giving example of another Mahajan.
Ну, то есть это определенная, то есть лила, все-таки Кришна, что он хочет нам что-то показать этим.
That's a particular lila, which where Krishna is wanting to show us. Я тоже добавляю. So I would also like that from my point now to this discussion. That, well, I think we are in a very good position because we have the descriptions given so that we can understand through a Guru Parambara, we understand why those acharyas acting like that and what we should learn from that. So I think, as I understand, so the acharyas, they can maybe saw something like externally mistake, but actually it was also so that we can learn from that. So they were, ultimately, Bhishma there, he went to Krishna, right? He saw Krishna when he died, so he went to Krishna. So therefore, he didn't lose in that sense. So he was just making this mistake so that we can get some lesson. Но, в общем, я бы от свою сторону тоже добавляю, что мы в самом деле в лучшем положении сейчас, потому что у нас есть объяснение от нашего Гуру Парампара для этих игр, и мы видим, что в самом деле эти ачарьи, они просто что-то сделали не то, на самом деле это было просто, чтобы показать нам какой-то урок. Например, в случае Вишны, несмотря что он там какой-то вещь неправильно сделал, но в конце концов он все-таки умер, видя Кришну, вернулся к Кришне. Поэтому вот такое добавление от меня. So this kind of thing.
So we are saying that Bhishma had all the knowledge. He had all the pedigree. But when it actually mattered the most, he did not cite what was dharma, and that was his sin. We are not saying that he was wrong.
No,
In the end, he was the one who gave knowledge when Yudhishthira Maharaj was lamenting. After Pandavas won the war and then they were dying, Vishnu had this boon that he will choose his moment of going. And he wanted Krishna and Arjun in front of him. And he gave. So in Mahabharata there comes a description that actually he instructed Yudhishthira Maharaj the duty of a king, and he told him not to lament because it was the time to happen.
Он дал наставление для Юдхишthira, как быть царем.
So we are not taking away anything from Bhishma Pitama, but what we are pointing out that even at such knowledge, a person who took care of so many generations, and that's why he was called Pitama. So as a Pitama, he was supposed to be impartial. Forget about dharma. Even as Pitama, he was not even neutral. And if he had we say that even Maharaj Vidur, he was also a general person, but he was not participating in war. He remained away from war. And if you say Lord Balaram, he was teacher of Duryodhana, but then he saw that he has to take sides, so he just walked away. Bhishma Pitama had that option. See, if you cannot change the course of action, at least remain neutral, but don't take part of dharma. That was his mistake.
Поэтому ошибка была в этом, что он мог остаться нейтральным, потому что если он стал на стороне Адхармы, он все там, на самом деле, не мог менять конечный результат. Это значит, что Дхарма всегда победит.
And if you are talking about that, when Arjun had given up his weapons, that I don't want to fight against Bhishma Pitamaha, so he was still provoking, and those arrows were hurting Arjun and Krishna, and that's the reason. Just to provoke that he wanted Krishna to pick up weapons, so that's why he was provoking Krishna also, Bhishma Pitamaha. So then Krishna had to take up this wheel. So then Arjun suddenly came out of his lamentation and said, okay, no, please don't fight, don't break your vow. So basically, if you realize that, I would say that Bhishma Pitamaha had ego also at that point of time.
What?
Even Bhishma Pitamaha had ego out there, that he wanted Krishna to, basically if you are following the dharma, first of all you are fighting against adharma, fighting with the adharma against dharma, and you are trying to attack Arjun when he is not willing to fight, and when Krishna is there, and then Bhishma Pitamaha was provoking, and he was actually hurting, and Krishna started bleeding, Arjun started bleeding.
Это правильно. А Бхишма Дева, несмотря на это, он провоцировал, давайте будем сражаться.
So how do you call that acharya if you are following that logic? So he made a mistake and he had to pay for the price of that.
Да, он сделал какие-то ошибки и получил определенные, как сказать, эти результаты. So I would say that, but in a how to say in a overall picture, it doesn't minimize the position of Bhishma. He's still one of the Mahajans.
I said that, but at the same time, I'm saying that since you are saying that we have to follow Acharya, we are saying we have to follow what is right. If Acharya also falling down, you have to still follow the scripture. That's why Srila Prabhupada said that people may come and go in this movement. The surprising thing is that who remains.
Я скажу, да, Бхишмадева, она Acharya, но мы должны смотреть через глаза Священных Писания, что если, например, Acharya что-то не то сделали, тогда мы должны смотреть это через Писание, что мы просто слепо следуем, а мы должны смотреть основы Священных Писаний.
And Srila Prabhupada knew that this sort of confusion will come, speculation will come. We have to follow the dharma and scripture. That's why he straight away simplified all the literatures. And that's the reason those instructions are there. In case
когда люди начали спекулировать, поэтому он дал все эти шастры, чтобы мы имели правильные основы, через чего мы можем все правильно понять.
so people are suffering from the material modes of nature, but at the same time, but scriptures and books, they don't change. So they are there as our guides. If you see that sometimes we are having doubts about the Acharya we are following is following the right path or not. That's why Srila Prabhupada has given scriptures.
Прабхупада нам эти священные писания, чтобы мы могли бы убирать какие-то сомнения, и мы можем видеть, что все-таки правильно.
So whether you are following Acharya or Acharya instruction, they are one the same thing. And if you are saying that the person who became Acharya later on and is falling down also, and I should continue to follow, that's what has not to be done. That's what is this verse all about.
Если вы говорите, что надо следовать Ачарье, но если вы видите, что потом что-то случилось, этот Ачарья перестал быть Ачарьей, как-то, скажем, упал, тогда это не значит, что вам тоже надо упасть. Вам надо все-таки тогда продолжать следовать Священным Писаниям.
Because the starting point is that Prajapati Daksh was given this responsibility to propagate the population.
Да.
It was finally coming from Krishna only. But Narad Muni was also sent by Krishna only. So that's why scriptural understandings are very subtle and sometimes a bit difficult to follow. And that's why there are so many examples. So that we learn from others' examples.
Есть очень много примеров, и мы должны учиться от примеров других, поэтому надо читать Священное Писание, видеть этих вещей правильным образом, делать правильные выводы.
Does that answer your question?
Это отвечает на ваш вопрос?
Я понимаю.
Yes, I understand.
But I think we can discuss that but later on.
So basically, we have to follow Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. And we have to see all these things in unison. They should be, actually, they are supporting each other. But then, if there is maybe something maybe different, then we should see like through the Shastra.
The thing is that, to be a very simple example, this is our spiritual
На
journey.
самом деле друг друга поддерживают, но иногда может быть, что если что-то не то, тогда надо смотреть именно на основе шастры.
So when we are going to some dham, that's why they say that always go with a guru or acharya,
Если мы едемся,
so that you don't make
нам
mistakes.
ехать вместе с другими преданными, вместе с гуру, чтобы мы правильно видели дхамму.
So it's something like this. In our spiritual journey, we are flying in an aeroplane on autopilot mode, thanks to guru and acharya. But if there is something wrong we see happening out there,
Жизнь на автопилоте летаем.
and then we see that there's some storm coming in something, so autopilot mode, we have to come out of our reverie and then we have to follow the correct action. So we have to maybe sometimes override what autopilot is suggesting. So if you find that somebody, because of some material weakness or some emotional weakness, is falling down or having some different opinion or mood is changing or just wants to leave, you cannot continue to follow that person because that person is deviating from your journey.
Ввиду в этом примере, что автопилот это как гуру, но иногда бывают какие-то штормы, и что-то случилось с гуру, тогда мы должны как-то сами быть разумными и как-то что-то регулировать на основе Писания. Поэтому такой пример.
Because first time when Narada Muni first time saw Lord Vishnu or Krishna, that time he was comfortable, but then suddenly he heard a voice that you will see me next lifetime when you are purified. So journey is long. So you don't know, a person who's coming for a particular purpose, a particular reason in your life is there for some time to guide you. But if you continue to follow the person, then that person is clearly going away and deviating from the path. That is not to be taken care of. You have to be careful about that.
Правильном пути, но бывает, что-то с ним случилось, и тогда он уже не ведет вас, тогда вам надо уже найти сам дальнейший путь.
As I mentioned, that Bali Maharaj gave up his own guru because he realized that guru is not following what is actually done.
Бали Махарадж отрекся от своего гуру, потому что видел, что гуру не исследовает дхарму, потому что гуру так совет, что не предаться Богу, да, это неправильно.
Do you have any question?
Yeah, I understand your focus point. Yeah, that's true. Я просто скажу, что я понимаю его, но сейчас его главный смысл я понимаю.
Я тоже понимаю.
So he also understands your main point, which you wanted to present with this. Any more questions or comments? Just a moment. So yeah, I guess it's just the only thing is that we would be very careful not to become also proud, because it can also happen that we say that, oh, look, scripture say this and say that, and we can actually start criticizing our guru or some senior devotees without proper understanding of why they are acting in a certain way. I'm telling that there is always that danger. So therefore, of course, you gave that very extreme example, let's say when they are obviously deviating. So then you should be able to, according to Shastra, regulate your spiritual life and like that. And that's the proper example, but I'm just telling that we should always be careful so that we wouldn't do that thing inappropriately. That actually Guru is doing everything correctly, but just because of our own false ego and pride, we may start to find faults. And that means we become over-intelligent and we use the scripture to somehow criticize. Do you understand what I'm telling you?
The thing is, when we are looking at people, there's a saying like, those who want to be cheated get cheated. And whether you are innocent, naive, that's another thought process. But the thing is that generally some people want to be cheated. That's why they get cheated.
Я сказал этот момент, что да, если там очевидно, что кто-то не следует, да, конечно, мы тогда должны быть разумными, да, регулировать свою духовную жизнь, но просто надо быть осторожным, чтобы не из ложной эго, ложной гордости не было так, что, знаете, гуру самом деле все правильно сделать, а потому что мы гордимся, и мы потом начинаем критиковать, найти какие-то ошибки на основе шастры, как будто бы. И просто он говорит на ответ, что если человек хочет быть обманутым, тогда он этот обман не получает.
The thing is that if you realize that if you're following everything by example, word by word, then Srila Prabhupada used to get very angry at devotees.
Если вы
That you are being naive, you are not being intelligent, you are being actually
если вы
foolish.
следуете все
When you're trusting the wrong people.
тогда Шрила Прабхупада критиковали таких учеников, сказал, что вы должны использовать свой разум тоже.
And he would be getting very angry at them. And he had to many times, despite being a sannyasi, he had to go and negotiate with people. In fact, there is example of Mr. Nair in Jew temple. There was example, extreme example. People are being food. So he would get angry. You can't give excuse of devotion and dharma all the time when you know that downright the other person is downright cheating you.
И вы не
There's
можете...
another extreme
В
example.
общем, он знал, что этот мистер Найер, он просто обманщик, и тогда надо было с ним, как сказать, заниматься.
And by the way, there is no room for diplomacy in devotional life. Either you are diplomat or you are devotee.
И нету места, как сказать, дипломатических отношений в преданном служении, вы либо дипломат, либо преданный. Okay. So yeah, thank you. It's a big topic if we continue, but thank you so much.
Thank you.
Govinda Prabhu. Ciao.
Yeah.